Hello and welcome to my breakdown of the transport section in the brand new 8th edition Space Marine Codex. Now this is the 2nd edition of the Codex, if that makes sense. It's right here on the right. Throughout the review it will be on the right. Let's have a look at the transport sections. So in the old Codex here, the transport section started off on page 180, and in the new book it starts off at page 159. There were 5 options in the old Codex. Now we have a brand new edition in the new Codex in the form of the Impulsor, which is, yeah, it's a little bit controversial in my opinion. Anyway, let's get down to business. So it kicks off in exactly the same layout as before. So we've got the Rhino, which is a power points cost of a 3, so it is a little bit cheaper than it was before. Exactly the same stat line, weapons do the same. It's still got the self-repair where you roll a 6 and you can regain 1 lost wound. You can transport the same number, 10 Space Marines, but no Primaris unfortunately. Same movement speed as well. Moving on to the Razorback, that is a same power points cost. It didn't reduce in price. You can still take a number of weapon options there, like the twin linked heavy bolter or twin assault cannons. The stat line remains the same. It's essentially the same stat line as the Rhino, same movement speed and things. It forgoes some of the transport capability of the Rhino in that it can only transport 6 normal Space Marines. Then we go on to the same layout again as the previous book with the drop pod. That has had a big, I say big, yeah, it has a pretty big reduction in points cost. It was a power points cost of a 5, it's now a 3, exactly the same stat line as it was before. Same save, same number of wounds. The Deathwind launcher has the same profile. Drop pod assault works the same. However, the big sort of controversial addition that they've put into this codex, which got a lot of attention, was this matched play. This model and any units embarked aboard it are exempt from the Tactical Reserves matched play rule. That's huge. That basically means that the drop pod can deep strike in turn 1, and you can deep strike as many as you like. Pretty crazy. You can put 10 Space Marines in, but no Primaris. There's still no way of getting a Primaris to the planet other than in Thunderhawks or Stormbirds, I don't know. The Land Speeder Storm, that has had a price reduction. It's now a points cost of a 3, and it used to be a 5. Exactly the same stat line as before. Good toughness, decent number of wounds. Save is only 4+ though. The Cerberus launcher works the same as it did before. You've got the heavy bolter on there. You've got the open top rule and Angels of Death. You can transport 5 scout models. It looks a pretty decent model. I'll probably like another couple myself. And then we move over to the Repulsor, which is, I want to say, the poor man's executioner. It's not really a poor man's executioner. That's had a little bit of a power points cost reduction. It used to be 16, it's now 15. Stat line remains exactly the same as it did before. Still a decent movement speed of 10 inches. All of the other weapons work the same before. They've got exactly the same stat lines. They haven't messed with any of the Gatling cannons or the Las Talons. You've got all of the options as they were. You've got Angels of Death again. You've got the hover tank. You've got the repulsor field, you've got the auto launchers, power of the machine spirit. You can transport 10 Primaris infantry models, also Gravis armoured models too. It's great that it can transport 10. It's the main transport option of Primaris, and it comes with some beefy weapons too. And then the final transport option is the new kid on the block. It's the Impulsor. Now it's a power points cost of a 4. It's super cheap. However, in real money, it will set you back £45, which is a fair amount. A normal Repulsor is 50. Oh, I think it might be 55 now. I think it's 50. And an Executioner is 60. This is close to those in terms of prices, but power points cost is dirt cheap. It's a power points cost of a 4. However, it can only transport 6. We didn't want that, Games Workshop. We wanted a troop transport option for Primaris that could still transport 10 Primaris, and for this price points cost, but also in real money as well. This has a load of options. I want to compare it to the Repulsor. Its strength is 1 less at 7, its toughness is 1 less at 7, it's got a fair few less wounds, it's got 11 instead of 16, its leadership is 1 less, and its save is the same though. However, its movement speed is 14 inches, so it's 4 inches faster. So that's what you're getting with this. You're getting less transport, but a faster vehicle. It's got some new weapons in the form of the Bellicatus missile array. It's got 3 options, weapon options here. They're all 48-inch ranges. You've got the crack missiles, which work as normal, which is strength 8, AP -2 and a damage d6. You've got the frag missiles, which is strength 4, AP 0 and damage 1. And you've got the Icarus missiles, which are heavy d3, strength 7, AP -1 and damage d3. And obviously you add 1 to the hit roll for targets that can fly. So you can have the Bellicatus missile array. You can have the Iron Hail heavy stubber, which is a 36-inch range, heavy 3, strength 4, AP -1 and a damage of 1. Or you can have the Iron Hail Sky Talon array, which is again 36-inch range, but it's heavy 6 shots this time, strength 4, AP -1, damage 1, so the same as the Iron Hail heavy stubber, but you can add 1 to hit and wound rolls against flying units. So if you're definitely up against flying units, definitely take the Iron Hail Sky Talon array. The other thing that you can also have instead is you can have the Shield Dome or Orbital Comms array, or the Bellicatus missile array or Sky Talon array. So the Orbital Comms array has its own little ability here. In your shooting phase, one model from your army with an Orbital Comms array that has not been used this battle can use it to call in an orbital barrage. If it does, select 1 point on the battlefield and roll 1d6 for each unit within d6 of that point, subtracting 1 from the result of the unit being rolled for as a character. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for suffers d3 mortal wounds. So there you go. That's the main reason why you'd get the comms array, is to drop down mortal wounds from above on enemy units. Instead of the Orbital Comms array, you can have the Shield Dome, which gives it a bit more survivability with a 4+ invulnerable save. I don't know whether it needs it, and it depends what you're putting in here, because you can't put any Gravis models in there. You can only put 6, so that limits it down to Intercessors, Hellblasters or Infiltrators, or Incursors, but those models you normally just infiltrate, so it's just Intercessors and Hellblasters really. So it depends if you really want to have that 4+ invulnerable for a Hellblaster squad. I suppose you could, you know, drive it up to capture points and just sit on those capture points in it. But yeah, it's really strange that it's like open top, but it has no like vulnerability. You know, it's open top, but it has 1 less toughness and 5 less wounds than the normal Repulsor. Anyway, it's an assault vehicle, so that means that if the model didn't advance, any units that embarked aboard it can disembark, but they can't charge that turn. And it's got the keywords Imperium, Adeptus Astartes, Vehicle, Transport, Fly and Impulsor. So yeah, the new Impulsor is a little bit lackluster. It's expensive money-wise. It's very cheap points cost-wise, you know, which is great. You know, you can have you know, 3 or 4 of them or so, and they're transport, so you can do that, and you can, you know, fly them about. It's just, it is cheaper points cost-wise than a Repulsor, but a Repulsor can do so much more. You can have 10 in a Repulsor. The weapons are way better on the Repulsor. This Impulsor is very fast though, I'll give it that. It's just it's trying to be one vehicle does everything, but without the, you know, the ability to carry 10 Primaris. Anyway, what do you guys think of the Impulsor? Obviously I bought one because I want to do a review for the channel, and I'll be doing a review shortly if I haven't already released it. So I hope you enjoyed that, or I hope you've enjoyed that. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below of this transport section in the brand new Space Marine Codex. Do you think there should be more Space Marine transport options? Definitely there'll be a flyer for the Primaris at some point, but it will be, you know, Thunderhawks size and probably a bit bigger, and it probably would cost similar amount, so stay tuned for that vehicle from them. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.